everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Teacher Yan, your friendly J1 teacher here in South Carolina. This video, it's been requested several times in the comment section, is specifically for my fellow high school English teachers who want to teach and who will be teaching here in South Carolina. So if you know somebody who fits the description, or if you are that person, please keep on watching. This setup is a little formal today. It's just because I need the document in front of me, and I also will be sharing it with you guys by sharing my screen later on. But yeah, don't be intimidated by the setup. This won't happen every day or in every video. But as I said, this video is for my fellow English teachers who wants to teach here in South Carolina. Hopefully this will help you, give you the extra boost of confidence to step into that English classroom. So this year is actually a very good year to start because this will be the first year of the full implementation of the newest curriculum of South Carolina. So it's called the 2024 South Carolina, this is a bit long, College and Career Ready Standards for English Language Arts. These new standards have been rolled out a couple of years back, but it's only this year that all schools in the entire state are finally implementing it full on. Now, before I begin, I want you to understand something. This might be a little confusing and might be a little different based on what we're used to in our countries, but in this new standards, we won't be teaching the standards. Does that make sense? It will make sense more when I share to you the document later on, but we will not be teaching the standards. We will be teaching the indicators. It's because the standards are the same for all grade levels. So the standards are actually goals that the Department of Education of South Carolina intends every student that begins and joins the South Carolina education journey to achieve on their senior year or once they graduate. Standards are the goal, and they're the same from K to 12, but we will be teaching indicators. So let's get into this. I will be sharing my screen, and I will teach you how to find or how to get your own copy of these standards in case you still don't have them. Okay, so we will begin by going to just type in your browser SC Department of Education, and it should bring you these options. Just click the first one that says Home, and once you're in the site, click Educators. So these are all the resources that we teachers need, and on the first column under Instruction, click Standards. So once you've done that, you should be brought to this page and go to English Language Arts, the red one, and click Standards. Once you're there, make sure that you click the 2024 South Carolina College and Career Ready Standards for ELA, and voila, this is the document that will be your guide for everything that you need to teach for the school year. So you have on the second page your table of content, so just jump into, let's do English 2 because it's the EOC course. So you have English 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this one document, you have everything from kindergarten to grade 12. So let's click English 2. The first page is like a summary of what English 2 students are expected to learn and what the whole course is all about. And then if you click further on, the first thing you will see are overarching expectations. So overarching expectations are not standards. They're also not indicators, but they are skills that we expect students to learn while we teach and while they learn the indicators that we are teaching them. So it's integrated, it's embedded in certain indicators all throughout the course. So that's why it's called overarching. Acquire, refine knowledge, inferencing, making inferences is very, very important. Collaborating, citing evidence is also a salient skill that students here in South Carolina need to learn and do all the time in ELA. and create quality work by adhering to an accepted format. So these are overarching expectations. You do not write this as your daily or weekly objective. So nope, these are not your indicators. So don't write this in your lesson plan as your goal for the day or objective for the day, okay? So high school doesn't have foundations of literacy, so we will skip that. As you see, it's empty. Now we go to the first one, applications of reading or AOR. So this is what I said earlier. We will not be teaching the standards, we will be teaching the indicators. So ELA.AOR.1 in bold is your standard. So this is the same through all grade levels. Now, what will you be teaching in order for the student to be able to reach and hit that goal are the indicators, which are symbolized by a whole number and a decimal. So ELA, E2 for English 2, AOR for applications of reading, standard 1, indicator 1. So this is what you will be teaching, the one with a whole number and a decimal. So once your principal comes in, okay, what are your standards for the day or for the week? Tell them that in the new standards, you're not teaching the standards, but you're teaching the indicators. So these are the indicators that I plan to teach today or that students are supposed to learn within the week. So again, not standards, but indicators. Okay, so you also have indicator insights. This is to give us a more specific guide as to the content. Because like the first standard, the first two indicators mention key elements. So what are these key elements? It is defined in the indicator insights. And this is where grade level expectations differ. So make sure that you read your indicator insights if there is one available for the specific indicator that you are teaching. So for example, for standard 1, indicators 1 and 2, key elements include setting, character, plot structure, conflict, descriptive details, specific events, and or dialogue. So within or across text can refer. So again, the indicator insights give us a more specific view into the indicator. So you have standard number 2. Again, you will not be teaching that. That is the goal. What you will be teaching to reach that goal is or are the indicators. So you have the indicator insights, and that's true for all the sections of the standard. So summarizing and paraphrasing, determining, clarifying meaning, so using context, using background knowledge, consulting references. You have analyzing world relationships and nuances, interpreting an author's use of figurative, connotative, and technical language. So interpret figures of speech. Example, hyperbole, analyze nuances, and then some don't have indicator insights. That's okay. It means it's pretty much as it is. But if it has an indicator insight, make sure that you read through it. So after the application of reading, the next section or subsection of the ELA standards is research. This is where they changed it from the old curriculum because it used to be inquiry and it was a little vague. Now they're very specific. How do we embed or how do we teach our kids research within the ELA context? So again, this is standard. That's the goal. What you teach are these indicators right here. So now you have conduct short and more sustained research to answer a question. So it doesn't have to be a full-blown research paper. Just because we have a section that says research in our standards doesn't mean that the students are expected to come up and publish a full-blown research paper at the end of the course. No. These are your guide as to how research is going to be taught in the ELA classroom. But it's up to you if you want to do a full-blown research or a case study. That's really up to you as long as you fulfill the indicators. So research. Next one is written and oral communication. So again, whole number is your standard The one with the decimal is your indicator, and this is what you will be teaching. So write arguments to support claims with clear reasons. So writing argumentative, informative, and narratives. It's the same. It transcends all grade levels in the high school level. So they will do that. But when you look at the indicator insight, that's where and when you understand what makes English 2 different from English 1 and from the other ELA courses in high school. Because for ELA 2, for example, in writing narratives, they're not just expected to write a narrative, a story of what happened to them, or because the indicator insight tells us that the narratives that they will be writing, so narratives within other modes of writing refers to the inclusion of a narrative excerpt or anecdote in the forms of writing. So this time, they are expected, according to the indicator insight, to be able to incorporate narrative writing into another form of writing. For example, they're writing an argumentative essay. So to prove their point, they're going to incorporate an event that happened to them that supports their claim or that supports their counterclaim. So incorporation of narrative. So you really have to read. I cannot stress this more, how important it is to read your indicator insights, because you don't want to be teaching the same thing from English 1 to 4, especially if you're doing a multi-grade teaching. So you don't want that, because the kids are not expected to learn the same exact thing over and over and over. The skill should be progressive. Basically, this curriculum is very spiral or progressive. So concepts are recurring, but are not uniform. So for example, figurative language or figurative speech, figures of speech. In ELA 1, their expected figure of speech is allusion. For ELA 2, we will assume that the students already know allusion. So now the expected figure of speech that they will learn intently is irony, specifically verbal irony. So do you get my point? So it's the same concept, but the skills are progressing. For English 3, now the figure of speech in focus is satire, because they've already learned allusion and they've already learned verbal irony. So those are like components that build their understanding of satire as a genre and as a figurative language. And English 4 now is more of like a culmination. It's like the melting pot of everything that they've learned. So now it's more an application, evaluation, analysis, discussing, and things like that. So there is a certain progression of skills. Now, I know it's a lot, but South Carolina Department of Education has done a really good job in making sure that we teachers have what we need. So if you go back to the South Carolina Department of Education website and go to educators, under instruction, you can still click standards. You will see instructional resources. Click that one. And you will see a lot of documents that will help you in your actual teaching. Now, what they emphasized is the uniformity of language that we use in class, especially for English 2 students who will be tested at the end of the year through the end of course examination. So among the 4 English classes, only English 2 for grade 10 students or those who have completed English 1 will be tested. So it's important that our students are already familiar with the terms that will also be used in the assessment. If you click glossary, it has defined, if not all, most of the terms that we will be discussing and using in our ELA classroom. So you have it here. So they encourage us to use the glossary as our main reference when it comes to introducing concepts to students. Like for example, what is allusion? So use the definition in the glossary in your presentation of allusion to your students. It is for the uniformity of language and understanding among all South Carolina students. And for example, another term is, let's say, rhetoric. Okay, rhetoric, the art of persuasive and effective. Because if you go online, you're going to find hundreds, if not thousands, of definitions of this word. And sometimes, although they are the same, every site and every person, every scholar uses a different term. And that can also be confusing to our students. So to lessen that confusion and make sure that our students are equipped, let's use the glossary as our main dictionary, okay, of terms and concepts that we will be teaching. So here in the instructional resources, you don't just have the glossary, you have the grammar and conventions matrix, you even have text complexity resources, suggestions of texts that you can use for your class, and how to level them. So it's really helpful. The Department of Education really did all that they can to make sure that we are equipped to implement these new standards. So that's it. All you need is in the South Carolina Department of Education website under educators and under standards. So I hope that helps. Before I end this vlog, I also want to share, I think one question was in the comment section was, what novels do I teach? So every district